beginning of this year, I stated that they were patterns that I was picking up, not locally as much as international news patterns. And it was possible, and I had to be careful with false hope, that it meant that there might have been a slight reversal of primates suffering from intense HSD, meaning not having the ability to self-correct, adapt, engage in humanism. Even if I saw them kind of give up on the supernatural or magical paradigms, they still wouldn't be able to take on humanism, which means solving our own problems in big part and growing from such problem-solving behaviors. But one of the reasons I thought maybe these patterns was, I was seeing more protests on things, and but the thing is these protests are just they're just a little bit of more awareness of people that are a little bit less part of the problem, and yet there's just more of a voice given to them. I mean, it's not necessarily like you don't hear reporters say, "That's horrible. I'm ashamed of living in a country where there's these rights and they're taken away and I'm reporting on it," with a straight face. That's not what I'm seeing. Another thing I'm not seeing, if we were reversing the ongoing Anthropocene, and by the way, again, the Anthropocene is not measured by carbon in the atmosphere as much as it's measured by the lack of human thinking tools and how that's measured in behaviors. The Anthropocene is our species is not well. So that's how you measure the acceleration of the Anthropocene. For example, what we're doing to the climate, we are nowhere near even stopping to do it. We are accelerating what we're doing wrong to it. That has an impact on more than just us. And I could answer this in two parts. More than just us, because we have to think about future our species, but more than just us, even now, other species and other climates we rely on. And again, that's anthropocentric because I say we rely on, but it's just, there's no other way that you guys can understand it because you're nowhere near having an ecocentric worldview. There's more and more people with failed ideologies and they kind of pretend they're collaborating when they're not. There's more and more conflict happening between everyone, about everything, because of failed ideologies like capitalism that took us away from collaboration and cooperation type behaviors, which is, by the way, more linked to ecocentric worldview because life evolved on this planet largely more through collaborations and competitions than competitions. It evolves more through symbiosis and cooperations. So we have ideologies that, like for example, Israel's elites. All religions are an evolutionary dead end, but Zionism is definitely something that leads to devastation on a global scale, especially when people don't want to say, hey, that's not okay to Israel's elites. And especially when you see that the United Nations is powerless to even mitigate a bit more order and structure among their own members. They're not. So signs that I could see this year, and by the way, this year is like, it's already, so this is way too late for these signs. But if I saw these signs, like for example, Julian Assange freed with compensations and apologies from all those involved, and saying never again, more transparency, as if manifest destiny from the elites in the States. And some of the elites, they don't care about manifest destiny. It's all about their own ego, even at the cost of their own families, really. I mean, they make decisions for their own status and image and ego and what they can gain towards them, often, taking their families down with them. So I mean, they're not even able to move away from the extreme worldview paradigm of egocentrism when we're still never going to go to eco, but they can't even bulge from ego. And people still admire them when they're taking their families down with them. So there's no signs of that changing. And of course, an important sign, because climate impacts us all, is there'd have to be mass apologies to Greta, for example, and other people that have done similar type of work, and even people that will still be alive when there's no way that you don't put them in an insane asylum with the evidence in front of their own eyes for not apologizing to Greta, but that have trashed her and done greenwashing. They'll still be alive, and yet somehow there's no signs we're putting them in insane asylums by not changing their tune. So again, these are things that I'm serious, guys. If you want me to believe in any way that you are not destined for failure and that you have not passed all types of tipping points, including your social tipping points, you are socially engineering yourselves for total collapse of not just your own species' attempt to further evolve, to become the idea of the Uberman, the Superman, the evolved better than it can be or it was before and still going, which is again at the root of humanism, is to be better and to keep developing this potential we have. There's no signs of this at all. No signs. Less and less. And again, nobody's having these types of conversations with me without needing to sit down and avoid me later on.